Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Estee McCrawly coming with another video. This time we get some more double battles here on the battle spot. Still using the dual weather team I've been using with the Mega Charizard Y. And I'll be doing a few more battles and I'll be making a new team soon. So we're gonna just go ahead and start with the first battle. And this time it's against Mid-Cup, not Mudkip, Mid-Cup. And he had an interesting team, some Pokemon that we do see and some other ones we don't, of Whimsicott, Terrakion, Greninja, Rotom Fan, Talonflame, and Steelix. So the two one he chose not to bring were Talonflame and Steelix, which I thought was interesting. I was definitely expecting the Steelix to come since it's the only Mega Evolution possibility, so I was expecting it to be the Mega. It most likely was. And the Talonflame as well still was pretty decent against my team because of the Roserade and the Excadrill. So I'm actually surprised he decided not to bring the Talonflame. So I decided this four Pokemon core was the best thing I could go with. With that, I could pretty much take out everything on his team with super effective damage. So that's why that was like the best lead I could go with. Hitmon top wasn't really necessary, and Excadrill wasn't really necessary either. So I lead off with Clefairy and Roserade. Because I was thinking maybe he'd lead with Talonflame or Terrakion or Steelix, and if he did, I could switch in Politoed and go for a Weather Ball. So turn one here, I seen this Rotom. I know it carries Will-O-Wisp, it could carry Thunder Wave. It just does a lot of status things. So I go for Protect, and I'm just going to go for a Misty Terrain and try and protect myself from any status. And that does a lot. He gets the crit there. And he went for the Air Slash into Roserade. But I do get the Misty Terrain off, which is really good. Now this Rotom won't be able to inflict any status on me. And I go for the Follow Me here so that I can get a nice attack off with my Roserade. So he does go for Ice Beam, which is what I was predicting. I was like, well, he went for Hydro Pump maybe to throw me off. But I was thinking he probably will go for Ice Beam onto the Roserade slot. And I do outspeed Rotom. I actually, for some reason, I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to knock this thing out. I get the crit, and I was like, wait, it wasn't super effective? Does Electric resist poison? And I was like, oh wait, that's not Rotom Mower. That's Rotom Fan. And I was like, it's flying, not grass. I thought it was grass the whole time. So a little bit of a mental mistake by me. Luckily, I didn't pay for it, because if I got an Air Slash off, that might have knocked me out. So I don't know if the crit mattered with the Sludge Bomb. It most likely did. But here I get to see the Whimsicott comes in. So I know it can't inflict any status on me. But what I'm scared of here is taking an Ice Beam from the Greninja. So, because I don't know what his last Pokemon is, I was expecting it to be the Steelix. But it also could have been the Terrakion. So it's like, okay, well, I need grass. Water will do, but I need grass. So he goes for Charm here. So I was thinking, okay, that's interesting. Maybe he thought Roserade was physical or something. I don't know. And so he does go for a Hydro Pump here, which is what I was expecting. I knew I could eat one up as long as it wasn't a crit. And even if it was a crit, I might have been able to survive. But I do get the Heat Wave off. I wanted to take out the Whimsicott, which we do bring it down to a Sash. We do see it as Focus Sash. So that's good information to confirm. So here with Charizard, I go for Protect. I'm expecting him to go for another Hydro Pump into the Charizard slot. And Whimsicott here goes for Charm. So I wonder if this guy knows what Misty Terrain does, because he hasn't gone for a status move like Grass Whistle or Stun Spore or anything. But I go for an Encore onto Politoed, or onto Greninja with Politoed, so that I can switch out into my Roserade, and he'll hit like his one. It'll be in Sun, so it'll be 50% less power, and then it'll be resisted by both my Pokemon. So this Greninja is now pretty much rendered useless. So he does go for a Hydro Pump into Roserade, and you're going to see how how little damage it does. So I do get the Scald off onto the Whimsicott, because this is the last turn of Misty Terrain. So I don't want the Misty Terrain to go away and then get hit by a Prankster, Stun Spore, Prankster, Grass Whistle, or something. So unfortunately, it couldn't be one turn later, because he does get a free switch into Terrakion. For this next turn, I could have gone for the double knockout. But here he goes for an Earthquake, so I guess he realized that his Greninja was pretty much useless. He doesn't really care about knocking it out, and I guess that it still was a good play. I mean, he had to have hoped to knock out both my Pokemon right here, but they both survive. I just get a nice Energy Ball off on this Terrakion. That's going to be enough to pick up the knockout. So that's going to be win for the first one. Luckily, my little mistake with the Rotom fan was not punished. I don't know if I would have, if Roserade would have been knocked out by an Air Slash. I don't think it would have been knocked out, but it's still, the Rotom fan still would have stuck around for a little bit longer. So I got a little lucky there. For some reason, I thought it was, even in the team preview, I was like, oh, that's Rotom, that's a grass one. I was like, oh yeah, well that's good. I'm going to be able to knock it out with a Sludge Bomb. I don't need Excadrill or even a Heat Wave from Charizard will knock it out. So it's going to be fantastic. So in this battle, things turned out pretty well. I've been realizing, or I don't know, I feel like Excadrill isn't, like, I mean, he's good and stuff, but I feel like, or the main reason I added him to the team was for the sand match, if I went up against a Tyranitar or a Hippowdon, that would bring sand. I was like, well, that'd be good because it's going to have all this stuff. So I've been trying not to bring it as much since it's really slow and it's pretty weak and stuff, so like, I don't remember, like, I've already forgotten a lot of stuff with this team, but like, I remember I was thinking, oh, I'm gonna give him Sand Rush or Sand Force so that he gets like a boost in the sand, because I was like, he's only gonna be brought if I'm going up against a sand team. But he has Mold Breaker, so I'm not exactly sure. Like, obviously I was thinking, oh, for Rotom and stuff, but I'm not exactly sure what was going through my mind why I'd put on Mold Breaker and stuff like, because I mean, if he had Sand Rush, his speed would be double. He'd be really good against sand teams because he'd outspeed everything, get strong moves off and everything. So I wish I could remember why. Just with all these teams that I have, I got a singles team, a doubles team. I've been making some, so I don't know what went through my head. It might have just been a mistake on my part. I might not even have paid attention to what his ability was. So I was like, oh yeah, well, he's got 6 IVs, so we'll just add him to the team. So we're gonna go ahead and get into this next battle. My opponent had a really interesting team, one I've never seen before. With Quancher, never seen before. Kecleon, never seen before. Gothitelle, never seen before in doubles. Bronzong, seen quite a bit. Sableye, not really seen in doubles. And Hitmontop, which I run myself. So, very interesting team. So, looking here, Politoed isn't going to be that good, since he doesn't have anything that's weak to water. Charizard's going to be important here to take out that Bronzong. This is a possible Trick Room team. Gothitelle is an interesting Pokemon. I know it gets access to Frisk and Shadow Tag, so I got to be careful. That, like, he might start with Gothitelle, so I got to make sure that my lead is a solid lead and one that I won't need to switch out with if my opponent does start with the Gothitelle. But Clefairy is going to be really useful here to take care of the Sableye and the Hitmontop, because the Sableye is the only Mega Evolution possibility here. So those are pretty much my thoughts. Roserade's important here, because if I get the Sun Up with Charizard, this Bronzong is going to fall really easily. So Hitmontop not really, I mean, he does have Kecleon, but Hitmontop not really going to be that important. Excadrill does pretty much nothing here. The only problem with this Bronzong is we don't know what its ability is. It could be heat proof, which could be problematic, since with the Pokemon I took, the way I have of taking it down is with fire type moves. So, but we see my opponent didn't lead with the Gothitelle, so I assume he didn't have it. He didn't bring it since he didn't lead with it. So this is actually a pretty ideal lead for me. The only thing I fear here is a possible taunt from the Sableye onto Clefairy, but I do know Sableye also has Prankster, so he could set up something like a Will-O-Wisp or a Toxic, a Thunderwave, whatever he wants. But he just goes for a Calm Mind, which I'm okay with, because I go for full offense this turn, because there's no reason like not to. Unfortunately, Bronzong does avoid the Heat Wave, which is really unfortunate, because I would have done some nice damage. Probably, or it would have been done close to 50%. The Moonblast does quite a bit as well. And he does set up the Trick Room, which, so I'm like, okay, well, that's not too bad. Here, I was like, maybe Clefairy will outspeed the Sableye, but we don't. Sableye is very slow. When he goes for Snarl, because he's pretty much going down this turn, and both my Pokemon are special attackers. And he goes for Psyshock, so I'm like, okay, well, that's not too big of a deal. I don't have the greatest defense, but I doubt this Bronzong is really offensive. And I set up the Misty Terrain since he didn't. I just didn't want to risk any sort of status type moves. So I get a Heat Wave off. This time it does connect with Bronzong. It's also enough to take out the Sableye. And it actually did very well. I am at -1 special attack. So we see how the little damage it did to the Bronzong. So like, well, this thing, like with that damage, I think this might be heat proof. Even if it's like, it doesn't matter if it's Levitate or not. I don't have any ground type moves. But it's just good to know that it's heat proof because maybe I'll want to hit it with something else, some sort of neutral attack instead. With the Quadsir coming in, I decided the sun isn't going to last enough time, so I want to switch out my Charizard and bring it back in when the sun runs out. And I go for Follow Me here with Clefairy just so it's a safe switch in. So we do see the Psyshock, and from the Quadsir we do see Dragon Pulse, which is perfect because I'm immune. So trying to make use of that Mega Launcher ability, but unfortunately for him, I have redirection. So I just go for another Follow Me here, since I should be able to take a hit from each of these Pokemon. I mean, these Pokemon he has. I mean, now he's forced to go for a Water Pulse. I mean, he might have had Dark Pulse as well, or Aura Sphere, but I resist those. So, and Water Pulse is in the sun, so I mean, it's just a bad situation for him. So I just get a free Energy Ball off and take care of this Quadsir. So I've already taken care of. I mean, I assume Quadsir is more of an offensive threat than a defensive threat. Like the I don't know what the Sableye was. It might have been like more of or it probably was more of an offensive Pokemon. That's why I had Calm Mind and Snarl. But we see the Kecleon come in. So I know Kecleon could have. I was actually thinking color change. So I was like, well, what do I want to do? But then I see he has Protean. And I was like, okay, that's fine. What sucks here is if I went for the Weather Ball into Kecleon, I would have like if I thought that he had like I didn't want to attack Kecleon this turn because I didn't want to. I thought he had color change and I didn't want to give him a certain type. But if I went for Weather Ball on Kecleon right there, I would have knocked him out right there. So this turn the Sunlight is going to fade, and I believe Trick Room also expired that turn. I don't remember if it's not this turn, it's the next turn. But here I'm like, oh yeah. So yeah, there's the Trick Room expiring. So here I'm like, okay, well, that's perfect. I can just go for a helping hand because I am an outspeed because there's no longer Trick Room. And I'm going to go for a Weather Ball. And I'm like, oh wait, no. The sun just expired. I'm such a noob. Sometimes it's hard to tell because you can't really tell. Like, you have to kind of look for the sun with the misty terrain out there. So I mean, it was just a mental mistake. I should not have done that. Luckily, I survive. He does connect with the Iron Tail, which is perfect because that is just a free switch in the Charizard, which means I just go for a Heat Wave Weather Ball and this game's over. I mean, I think my opponent made a mistake there. The only way he could have won is if he set up the Trick Room right there, because now, like, especially if I had Charizard, with me having Charizard in the back, there's nothing he can do. He's not going to be able to outspeed me. So he had to set up the Trick Room there. He could have Psyshocked the Cresselia or double targeted the Cresselia, whatever. But that was his only way of winning because now I'm just going to outspeed it. It does miss on the Bronzong, but it doesn't matter because I know this Weather Ball is going to do over half like it did before. So it's going to be, I don't know, 3-0 or whatever. I don't really care. An interesting team by my opponent. There's some interesting tactics there. Luckily for me, I had the Sun to boost my fire type moves against the Bronzong. The Kecleon was interesting. I forgot I had Protein. That's what happens when you use less common Pokemon. With Quantra, I don't really know much about it. With my Mega Blastoise running Mega Launcher, I just know a little bit of or I know the pulse moves that get boosted, so I know the possible moves that he'll probably have. So a really good lead by me. It wasn't what I was expecting him to lead. Cause I was expecting the Gothitelle to lead, but it still worked out for me in the end since I had super effective stab for each of his Pokemon, and we took care of this Mega Sableye before it was able to do anything. So that was nice. It's always nice being able to take care of your opponent's Mega Evolution before it does any damage. So, but 2 good games. I feel like I played a little bit better. Starting to bring Excadrill less because I feel like, especially since he doesn't have Focus Sash, he's sometimes I just send him in and he just gets destroyed. So I'm trying to bring him less. Find like, well, the right situation would be on against a Sand team, which we haven't even come across yet, which he doesn't even have the correct ability for anyways. So, but that's pretty much it with Excadrill. Stuff I've been learning with this team, what Pokemon are appropriate in what situations and stuff. So, anyways, that's gonna be it for this video. If you guys wanna battle me, go ahead and let me know. If you guys get any suggestions or requests for my new Devils team, you can also let me know. But that's gonna be it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time.